The Luzz Inferno Frozen paddle, one of about 5, 6 paddles they call Inferno now. There are some things different about this. Fun paddle. Should it be your main? I've got some reasons why maybe it should and some reasons why maybe it shouldn't. Let's get after it. Before I get into the Luzz Inferno Frozen, I want to talk about my last video. Lots of discussion, lots of engagement, the Don't Chase Grit video. And I just want to clarify a couple of things. I made a mistake in communication on this one. I held up a Power 2 series and then I held up a Hirache, the same shape, but it was a honeycomb core. It was a Gen 3, which led a lot of you to think that I was just comparing a foam paddle and a honeycomb paddle. What I should have done to illustrate my point better was go max grit paddle, which is foam paddle, which doesn't have max grit. For example, a PaddleTech Honey Foam. That's a paddle I like. I should have held those two up instead. I do think it was an error of mine in communication, but the thesis of the video was, listen, there are a lot of factors that contribute to spin. Some of these max grit paddles can feel harsh. To some of you, they don't. And if they feel harsh to you, you can wait. Companies are going to improve on the durable grit and give you the exact feel that you like. So don't rush into buying one of these. I don't think that's a hot take, but you know, when I talk about the Power 2 series and I say maybe there's a trade-off in feel, there are probably some of you who bought one of those and thought I was saying that the paddle sucked. I don't think the paddle sucks. I think the Power 2 is very popular for a reason. It just wasn't for me, and I've tried some of the other max grit paddles that don't feel as good as the non-durable grit version. That's it. Love the discussion though. Love the discussion. Keep it up. Go check out that video. If I messed up, jump in the comments and let me know. Okay, let's talk about the Luzz Inferno Frozen. This is probably the last one of the Inferno line that I tried, and I tell you what, after I spent a bunch of time with this, I think I like it the best. A good 10 hours on this paddle. Ian hit it, then got it to me. I started hitting it. I mained it basically for 3 weeks. So we may have more than 10 to 12 hours on it, but I really enjoyed the paddle. And there are a lot of aspects to the paddle that Luzz is touting that may or may not hit your sweet spot, so to speak. First of all, they say it's easy on your arm, and for some of you out there, listen, I'm part of a channel called Mid-Century Pickleball. That should give you a sense of my age. And, you know, as you age in this world, your arm hurts. And if playing pickleball hurts your arm and this paddle helps you out, listen, that's a huge selling point. I couldn't test it out personally. My arm doesn't hurt, but I guess I'm going to trust them when they say this helps with the tennis or the pickleball elbow. Dual certified, that's a good thing. I've never really had anyone check my paddle at a tournament, but if you want the dual certification, it is here. They say all weather performance. Luzz tells you it will work on a wet court. They say it'll work in the heat, and they say it will work in the cold. Listen, if it's raining out, don't go play pickleball. That's a great way to tear your ACL. So I'm not sure how useful the wet weather performance is. Cold weather, we're based in Wisconsin, and if it gets below 50, I'm moving indoors. So I don't know about y'all. If you guys are playing in actual freezing weather, maybe this paddle will do better for you. I don't know how useful it is. I'm going to chalk that up to marketing. Hot weather performance. Listen, I have heard of people who left their foam paddle in a hot car and it wrecked. So if this paddle defends against that a little better, absolutely, that's a selling point. just some things, Luzz is putting on the ledger, and some of it's marketing, but some of it might be a hit for some of you guys. All right, let's talk about how this paddle plays. Definitely less poppy than the original Inferno. They say it has less power, but man, I still find this to be a powerful paddle. You're not going to be wanting for power, in my opinion, with the Frozen. They just did. I think they upped the control a little bit. I would say it's a little bit denser than the original Inferno, and just maybe a little bit softer. Let me show you the heat map from Luzz. They placed their lineup on a heat map: stiff versus soft, dense versus hollow. They're calling this on the dense side and on the soft side, but pretty close to the middle. I would tend to agree with that assessment. This is pretty close to the middle, and as far as I'm concerned, that's probably a good thing. If you really like one of these aspects, maybe you really like stiff paddles, maybe that will warn you off this paddle for some reason if you really like one of those extremes. But the middle is where a lot of people make their home. They are advertising this as a durable grit paddle. They call this an EP12 surface, which differs from the Aero Grit that is on the 2026 version of the glider. This is different. Let me read it to you. I don't want to mess this up. A premium multi-component epoxy matte finish, tested for significantly better wear resistance than standard surfaces. Okay, multi-component epoxy. Epoxy, that's just a clear coat you put on your car, or a clear coat that maybe you would put on a hardwood floor. That's how I read this. Luzz just took the normal grit on a paddle, from a year ago or whatever, and put an epoxy on it to make it more durable. As far as I'm concerned, at least for the time that Ian hit it and the 10 to 12 hours that I used it, it's holding up pretty well. It still has that kind of new paddle spin profile, just that little bit of extra bite before you really wear in your paddle. It feels nice. The spin on this is nice. And listen, Ian hits the ball hard. I would like to think I hit the ball hard. We're not dainty with paddles in any way, shape, or form. And the face of this cosmetically is held up, and the spin is held up pretty well too. This EP12, this epoxy, I think I like it better than the Aero Grit on the glider. Sweet spot here is good. I think it's ample. I think off-center hits go just fine. There is a bit of a drop-off, but that's every single paddle. I didn't notice the drop-off, and that's something I really look for when I look at a paddle. MPP core, which is a little firmer feeling than, say, EPP, a little bit of a quicker energy return. So I like to compare paddles to cars for some reason. This is more like a BMW suspension rather than a Cadillac suspension. Again, though, going back to Luzz's heat map, it doesn't feel necessarily like a stiff paddle. It does retain a little bit of softness. Spin, good. Power, absolutely enough for 99% of people. Pop, toned down a little bit. I still find this to be a poppy paddle. You're not going to find this to be a dead paddle at the net by any way, shape, or form. So who is this paddle for? I still think the power and pop profile lend itself to someone who is not a beginner, who has an amount of control in their game, and who can rein this in a little bit. This is not the Toyota Camry of paddles. This is still a sports car. Fun to play. And when you're on with this paddle, and when you are rolling, man, this thing is a beast. If you are not on your game, I don't think this paddle is going to help you hide your flaws that day. So I found it to be a little bit of a roller coaster, just not enough consistency, at least for my game. The price here, a bit of a pause too, $249 before code. If you use code MCP, I believe they will knock 10% off. Get you down to about $225. That is on the high end of paddles these days. So if you want a full foam paddle with some advertised durable grit, with a good power profile that you can rein in, absolutely give the Luzz Frozen a look. I think it'll treat you right. I would call it the best of the Inferno lineup right now. It is the one that I like the best. And you know, you're going to pay a little bit of a premium for that, but if this fits your game, and if that grit turns out to be as durable as they advertise, I think this could be a winner. Any questions, jump in the comments. I will answer them as fast as I can, as well as I can. But there you have it, guys. There's my impression of the Luzz Inferno Frozen. This has been Pickle Bill. Until next time, swing easy.